here. We want to make sure our students have those experiences. And I look around the room and we've got folks from the K through 12, Jill Davis from the Greater Lowell Tech. Liam Skinner was here somewhere. Where'd he go? He was here from Lowell Public Schools. We have partnerships with the community colleges so that we have those pathways. Lane Glenn and Phil Sisson is here, right? We want to make sure that we don't lose anybody along the way. So early college, pathways from community colleges to four-year, internships and co-ops. These are all things that we are trying to help work together and connect on and make that a seamless pathway for all of our students. And we want as many as possible to be able to stay here in this great Commonwealth. So it's a pleasure to have you all here. We've got folks from Mass Life Sciences, Mass Tech, a bunch of the quasis, right? It's all of us working together that is what makes this state such a great one to be in. And I just want to thank in particular all the teachers that are in the room. Yeah. Teachers and former teachers, you are the lifeblood because you inspire the students and help guide them on their path towards the future. So thank you for all you do. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Secretary of Economic Development, Eric Paley.
Thank you so much, Chancellor. The Chancellor became a very fast friend of mine. We are on 3 boards together, and we spend a lot of time together. So I'm very grateful for all you do for the Commonwealth, and obviously here in Lowell, it's quite impressive. It's exciting to be here at the Nerve Center. I think this facility alone represents so many of the things we do so well here in Massachusetts, right? It touches on so many parts of our innovation ecosystem, and that's what I'd like to talk a little about today. The companies of the future, the companies that will be the most powerful companies that define our future and our the work that we do in our education fields. They rely on the talent. That's why they come to Massachusetts. They come to Massachusetts because this is the global talent engine that powers innovation throughout the world. We want as much of that those innovative thinkers to stay here, but we know we are exporting the very best talent all over the world as well, and we're very proud of that too, right? So I got to meet, a 5th grade student who showed me how he's making robotics work. That's the beginning, right? That's when you start experiencing robotics. There's even an example of using with preschool kids, right? That's how we start to teach these skills to make people understand that they can make things, they can create things, they can take agency for the things they want to see come into the world. And when people start doing the type of work, they become the people who create the great companies of tomorrow or join the great companies of tomorrow and power them. And so this is all why we are doing our new economic development bill. I got to testify on it yesterday in 87-degree heat. It was 96 outside, but the room we met in did not have air conditioning. Somebody with real skills could probably have helped us solve. But thanks to the governor and the lieutenant governor who we're so lucky to have with us here today, we're making a big commitment through this economic development bill into the industries that will define our future. So these industries are robotics, like we were talking about earlier, life sciences. We're lucky to have the CEO of the Life Science Center here, Kirk Taylor. Quantum, climate tech. We have folks from the Mass CEC here. We have Mass Tech here who actually does AI and quantum work. These are the industries that are going to define our future, right? And we need to be teaching these skills as young as possible. So I thank the teachers for making this all possible. It is an honor to be here. I think the companies of today and the companies of tomorrow, this is the talent that they're going to come here for. And so I appreciate you helping to educate that talent, inspiring that talent, making them dream, making them create. It's not just about following a curriculum. It's about how do you build on it with the students? How do you allow their dreams to come to life so they understand what's possible? You're the creators of possible. So thank you for that. So I'm going to turn it back over.
All right, all. Thank you. We've had a little bit of a change in schedule. So we'll be doing panel 2 first, but STEM is nothing if not agile. So I'd like to welcome up our panelists and our moderator, Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, Superintendent Eric Conti, Chief Executive Officer Tricia Canavan of the Tech Foundry, Prue Clifford, the Executive Officer of the Work-Based Learning Alliance, and Adam, who is one of the most wonderful students that we've met today. You may have had a chance to meet him in the showcase. So welcome on up, everyone.
Hey everyone, good afternoon. So thrilled to be here. What a great opportunity to celebrate the great work is happening across Massachusetts in the field of STEM. You heard it both from Chancellor Chen, from Secretary Paley. It's happening in our schools, in our industries. It's one of the reasons we have such a strong innovation economy, and it's certainly something we're going to continue to lean into and support. We thought this panel would be a great way to showcase some of the work that's underway and why it's so critical when we think about Massachusetts, the future of Massachusetts. You know, we're entering this incredible inflection of technology, and it's pretty clear we may not even be able to define the jobs that may be needed 10, 15, 20 years from now. But the great thing about STEM and innovation is we're building the critical thinking skills. So no matter what happens, for the most part, we should be able to play a meaningful role in ensuring that we're building not only a workforce pipeline, but a cadre of students and people who are going to know how to operate in that space and build it and be the creators of it. And that's the gift that we have here in Massachusetts. I think our panelists, I know everyone's name has been introduced, but maybe just one quick minute, if you could each just say who you are and why you're glad to be here, just so we know a little bit about you. Eric, it's great to see you. Last time I saw you, I think we were at a Microsoft event looking at how students were using AI during a summer program. Well, we've seen each other before then, but like that was a really meaningful experience.
Yes. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll. Eric Conti, I'm superintendent in Burlington, again, very fortunate superintendent to be in Burlington. This is my 18th year, which is, can't explain that. I'm so fortunate to be here because I'm representing really our staff. I have the least to do with the success of any of these programs, but I'm so grateful to be here representing, again, our students, our staff, our teachers who have just done incredible things to provide more STEM opportunities for our students, having them learning in high school and out of high school, and I hope we get a chance to talk more about that.
Great. Thank you, Eric. Prue?
Hi, everyone. My name's Prue Clifford, and I'm the executive director of a nonprofit called the Work-Based Learning Alliance. We work with states, schools, and other nonprofits around the country to be able to provide equitable access to work-based learning, in particular virtual internships, to high school students. We started in 2023 here in Massachusetts, and by the end of this summer, we all supported 7,000 students across the country. But Massachusetts is very, very close to our heart because that's where we began. So really excited to be here and continue to explore what work-based learning can bring to Massachusetts' economy in the future.
Thank you, Prue. These partnerships that we have are so key, so you make us better. Our newest graduate on the stage, Adam.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys all hear me? Yeah. I just graduated with electrical engineering at UMass Lowell just last Saturday, and I am planning to do my PhD in the fall. I'm happy to be here today to talk about work-based learning, my personal experience while I was on co-op at Pfizer, and how that impacted me and how that's going to change and how that changed my life. And yeah.
Last but not least, Tricia, thank you for making the ride out and all the great work you're doing in the 413.
Thanks,
Please.
my pleasure. Hi, I'm Tricia Canavan. I help to run Tech Foundry with our amazing team, a couple of whom are here today, including one of our students. Tech Foundry is an IT-focused workforce development organization. We run traditional adult workforce development, as well as this year we're completing a pilot for opportunity youth from the gateway cities in Massachusetts that has really proven proof of concept for us. We're thrilled about that. We also do digital literacy throughout Western Mass and connecting people to pathways once they get some digital skills. Our mission is to help connect people to equitable opportunities for economic advancement through acquisition of tech skills, professional development, and support. And I'm happy to be here because of the energy in this room and some of the amazing people that I got to meet today, including the amazing students from North Andover. Very nice to chat with all of you. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Trisha. I appreciate the work that you're doing. I thought I'd start with Adam, our new graduate here, because he touched upon it in his introductory remarks. You've certainly experienced some of these work-based learning experiences firsthand as a new graduate. You had a co-op experience with Pfizer, and now, as you said, you're going to be studying for your PhD at UMass Lowell this fall. Can you just talk a little bit about how the hands-on industry experience maybe changed what you thought about STEM or careers you might want to choose your own path forward? We hear so many positive things about career-connected experiences, and hearing directly from you what it meant would be really grateful.
Yeah, thank you. So my freshman, sophomore year, I didn't have any work experience. I was just studying. I didn't really know what it was to be an engineer. I didn't know what it was to work in STEM. You think that like these are like the smartest people doing all this innovation stuff, and like how can I do that? I'm barely just passing my classes. How am I supposed to, like design like a real thing? And when I got the experience, when I started at Pfizer and actually did the 6 months, that made me realize that it's doable, it's possible, and it's not impossible. And I built a lot of confidence from that. Just working made me realize like you can do it and you can do more, If you're able to do this experience at Pfizer, I worked as an engineer at Pfizer my junior year of college. What can I do? What else can I do? How much more can I go? That's why I decided I wanted to continue my studies, do a PhD, because I can do it, If I'm able to do an experience at Pfizer, I'm able to continue. I'm able to do whatever you want. You need to have the passion, and that's what I learned when I was actually working. You need passion and you need confidence. And a big issue, in my opinion, with students, if you don't get that work experience, you don't really have that confidence because you don't know what you're going into. You don't know what it's like to be an engineer. You don't know what it's like to be a student. That confidence is what made me realize I can do it. I'm going to go for it. And if it doesn't work out, so what? At least I have the experience, So, yeah.
Thank you, Adam. Really appreciate that. Well said. You got to figure out how your office protocols as well as the actual work of being an engineer. So appreciate that. Prue, maybe we could turn to you and just maybe talk a little bit about from your perspective why these paid work-based, and I want to focus on paid work-based learning experiences are so important, not just for the student learning, but for expanding access and opportunity in the STEM field.
I could just start with, replaying everything Adam just said, and his response could be my response. But as the name of our organization suggests, all we do all day, every day is work-based learning. We live it, we breathe it. And we know that work-based learning is no longer simply a nice to have, in particular, paid work-based learning. It really is foundational, and I think we are all now in agreement of the foundational nature of it for creating accessible pathways for students into the workforce of tomorrow. And that is really, really key. And I think, Massachusetts has done such an incredible job over multiple administrations of investing in high school work-based learning, initiatives such as Innovation Career Pathways, where work-based learning is a key tenet of that. But still, there are too many barriers to access for students. We hear time and time again around transport and geography. And then when we look at the paid aspect of it and the fact that so many work-based learning and internship opportunities are still unpaid, those students from underrepresented populations are automatically excluded because they do need to be able to support themselves and to support their families. And so being able to drive that access and that equity is really, really core to this conversation. One of the stats that we often state, which actually comes from Brightbound, and Julie Lammers, who's the CEO of Brightbound, is here today, is that by the time high school students graduate, only about 3% of those high school students across the United States have had an internship prior to graduation. And if we think that there are over 17 million high school students in the United States today, the vast majority of tomorrow's workforce are leaving high school without the experiences that Adam just spoke about. So it really is essential that all of us commit to being able to create sustainable and sustainable work-based learning opportunities, not just for the sake internship here or there, but really for the economic and workforce development of the future that all of our states and our country need.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prue. So well said. I mean, we're in the midst right now of a new high school graduation standard, and so much of what you're talking about are some of the ideas we want to make sure are built into that framework. And our students are telling us that. They want to know that what they're learning during the day has some connection to what they might want to do as a career or open their eyes towards that. So I want to ask our superintendent, from a K through 12 perspective, Adam's obviously in higher ed, what does it take to build that work-based learning into the student experience in a way that's meaningful and well supported and aligned both with academic goals, because that's important, and career pathways or aspirations. I think it's hard in a K through 12 setting, having chaired a school committee for a little bit, to make the schedule work and to figure out the scaffolding to support it. And I'd love to hear from you in terms of how you think about that.
I think about it several ways, Lieutenant Governor. And again, if I'm here representing my colleagues, I think Massachusetts' strength is also one of its weaknesses, in that we're divided into so many finite small pieces. And I think those small pieces, districts, 350 whatever school districts approximately, create a bureaucracy then to support those 350 districts. So what it takes to be successful sometimes is ignoring the regulations. Sorry, to be quite honest with you.
Bring it. I'm all day with that. Yep. Did you hear that, my friends over here?
And I think we're very fortunate to have leadership in the state with Commissioner Martinez and Secretary Shrike, who are experienced superintendents. So I think when I say that, they understand that it's done with respect, my not following the rules. And I'll give you some concrete examples. So Burlington is blessed with geography in terms of having lots of corporate partners. We have a great relationship with our Burlington Area Chamber of Commerce. Shireen and I met working on a project bringing the digital literacy computer science standards to the state, which Massachusetts adopted. She was looking for a change. We brought her into the district, completely unlicensed. We lied, sorry. And so, again, we had to sort of ignore the rules to bring her in, and she brought all those partnerships in. And then we struggled with getting kids out on internships because there's a lot of defense contractors and security, so they wouldn't accept kids on their site. But Shireen had this brilliant idea, and again, she deserves a tremendous amount of credit for doing this, where she set up a internship curriculum that she flipped, essentially. So our students are doing their internships, and then the engineers from these great companies are coming into Burlington High School, either virtually or in person, and have a structured curriculum to meet with the kids. So the kids are getting an internship locally, and we feel this model is scalable. We've had over 500 students, I think, historically do that. And again, what I'm hearing from the corporate partners when I get the chance to speak with them, again, gets back to our weakness, is they are willing to help. They are all invested. They understand their future workforce needs. They're all invested in helping Massachusetts students, but they don't want to be approached 15 times by 15 superintendents. So they will serve 15 districts. They will serve all the students we can give them, but they want to be approached once in a comprehensive way, in a way that's scalable. So we have to figure out how to regionalize without regionalizing. We have to figure out how to break things down. I think the new graduation requirements are a great opportunity, so I thank you for putting in time into that. But I think if there's ways that we can not have geography be a problem, one of our biggest obstacles, honestly, and we ran a 4-week AI with a 1 week at UMass Lowell. Again, Dr. Chen, we had a lot of applicants to UMass Lowell who wouldn't have applied to a world-class university in their backyard. We paid the kids, so we had funding from the state. I think the Tech Collaborative was helping us. They got $250 a week. They came in, but we had to run it during the summer because our our schedules are too structured to have it run during the school year. So that was a problem. And then my big contribution in working with Shireen was buses. So that's what I do. I do bus stops. So getting the kids, because we worked with 6 or 7 communities, Shireen, I think, and they all came in to Burlington for the opportunities, again, of the companies that were housed in Burlington. And some of them were our neighbors, but some were Chelsea, Revere. They were coming from across the way. And our biggest issue, again, wasn't the corporate partnership. It wasn't the program. It wasn't the curriculum. It was getting them there. So I think those are things that we can work on and solve. But anyway, I'm talking too much. But again, the creativity exists, the ideas exist, the talent exists. We just need to forget some old habits and think a little bit differently.
I really appreciate your like push forward approach. How do we get to yes? Shireen has just been fantastic in terms of knocking down those barriers to make sure kids are getting the experience they want, that employers want to have as well. And, you know, sometimes there's this translation issue. I feel like business doesn't speak ed, ed doesn't speak business. And how do we push through some of that at scale? Really key. Trisha, I wanted to talk with you because we know how Tech Foundry works really closely with both learners and job seekers who may initially not see themselves in a STEM career or field. Maybe not even realize they really have a skill set there. How do you help students build that confidence and that preparation and sense of belonging, that they belong in a workplace and can thrive there? You've excelled at it. We should mention how Tech Foundry is really one of those places that many of us look to in terms of making sure we have non-traditional students in careers that they know they're capable of, but may not see themselves in. So appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you for the question. You know, I think to help people see themselves in STEM, you have to give them exposure. So before people even apply, we're bringing them into our space. We're doing information sessions, we're doing open houses, we're taking apart hard drives with them. And I think and also helping them understand what a career path can be in tech, because I think that if you don't do it, you have a very narrow vision of what that might be and what the experience might be like for you. So understanding how your skills can be applied. And I think a couple of the things that I've heard here today really resonate to how we think about our workforce development. One is, Lieutenant Governor, you talked about teaching people critical thinking skills. Technology is moving at the speed of light. Like, we feel like we're running to try to ensure that our students have exposure to the skills that they need. We're working really hard at this. And so what we teach them today, 6 months from now, a year from now, may not be as relevant. And so we're trying to teach them, we strive to teach them how to think. How do you find the answer? What are your resources that you can use? Yes, we want them to have the foundational technical knowledge. One of our students who's here today was describing what she learned. She said, I didn't know anything about networking, now I do. I didn't know anything about cybersecurity, now I do. And that's going to change really fast. So we want them to have the knowledge, but more importantly, we want them to understand how to find the answers when they're not sure. What are your options? How do you think like a technologist? How do you document things? So those are really foundational things in our program. And also Adam talked about the confidence that he gained by doing it, right? So when you talk about, to me, confidence and a sense of belonging go hand in hand. Those two things cannot be separated. Most of our students, like 75 to 80% of our students, are either BIPOC, women, low to moderate income, or LGBTQIA plus, or often more than one of those categories. So these are people that may not necessarily see themselves in tech, you know, being that notion of being the only in the room. And also we are very interested in the ideas about first generation professionals. We started looking into this a couple of years ago, taking knowledge that we had about the challenges and opportunities for first gen college students. And the more that we researched this, we realized there is a lot of, there's a through line between the experiences of first gen college students and first generation professionals. And what can we do to help them develop the confidence and the sense of belonging in order for them to succeed and thrive? And so our program works very intentionally to give people confidence through practice and demonstrating their skills. It's hands-on, they do a capstone, they're presenting, they're practicing, practice. Say the thing. You can't just read it. You can't just study it. You have to be able to explain it. And so again, through this iteration and including, we offer service learning through our tech hubs, which are digital literacy centers where our students do service learning in support of the community. They have internships, and we also have 1 year paid digital fellowships for a select group of students who are supported to gain 3 additional CompTIA certifications during their digital fellowships. And those students are, as they're graduating from the digital fellowship, are getting jobs around $60,000 to $70,000 a year. Most of them have not completed college degrees, and might have some college or just a high school credential. So that doing of it, the practice, and the sense of belonging is about building community. Our coaching manager, Phil Boris, who is amazing. If you didn't get a chance to meet him, you should find him before you leave.
Where's Phil?
Phil, where are you, Phil? Oh, Phil.
All right, we're all going to find you, Phil.
Yeah, Phil. Phil is integral to the community that we build with our students, and that starts before they start the program and it continues long afterwards. Our coaching program led by Phil continues for 6 months post-graduation and longer if people need that. We want them coming back to Tech Foundry, weekly job hunting clubs, pizza nights, job fairs, trivia nights. How do we build community? Because we know that particularly for people that are unemployed or underemployed and or for our opportunity youth, these students that graduate from high school without a plan, which is far too many in our gateway cities, we have an unaddressed opportunity and frankly, not to be too dramatic, but an unaddressed crisis in terms of what's happening to those talented youth. Our TechBridge students are thriving with 9 months of intensive experience for them. So we want to build that community and sense of belonging. And by exposing them to workplaces and to networking with professionals, doing internships outside of Tech Foundry, they're doing it and they're developing that confidence. And the last question was about the preparation. So I think we've seen time and time again, anyone can learn tech. That is the easy part. Like our teachers have office hours, they will tutor. I see people in our space long after class, like tutoring, learning. That's the easy part, right? We can prepare them for tech. We can prepare them for certifications. What we have to do is help them build themselves. Like they do it. What they do is amazing with a little support from us, but that sense of belonging, the sense of confidence, and the practicing of both their professional skills, but also their technical skills is what leads to success. And the ecosystem of partners that we have, partners like you, our employer partners, our community partners are critical. And so the more that we gather like this, the stronger that we are as a region, as a Commonwealth.
Told you she was awesome. Yeah, thank you, Tricia. I love the intentionality and I love the social capital. That's also a component. So that, whatever the hook is, I like what I'm doing on the technical piece, or I feel like I have community here. When those two go together, really good things can happen. I wanted to just make sure we sort of identified like what the barriers are that are preventing students from accessing or succeeding in STEM work-based learning opportunities today. I've heard some of you mention this, both transportation, making sure it's a paid opportunity, schedules. The high school schedule can drive me crazy sometimes because it can really limit where folks can go. Having an opportunity to build confidence and seeing yourselves in that work. What else are we missing in terms of barriers that we just want to highlight from any of the panelists? And then we'll get on to our last question. But some of you have touched upon it already, but I want to make sure we call it out.
In my opinion, one of the biggest barriers is not enough opportunities for people who don't have experiences. When I got my first co-op, I had nothing on my resume. I had no job. There needs to be more opportunities like that. Not necessarily co-ops, internships, but just experiences, work experiences for students who don't have years of experience, so like
getting that first one, Adam. Is that like getting that first opportunity?
Exactly. Yeah. It's the first one is always the hardest, obviously, but being able to have more opportunities for students who do not have work experience is the big one, because once you start, everything kind of flows naturally.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Other barriers that we didn't mention or we want to call attention to?
I would just say that, it's really, really crucial here. And Eric touched on it, but a willingness to move away from traditional work-based learning models and traditional internship models because they're simply not scalable. And there really needs to be a focus on how can we do things differently? How can we potentially do things better so that we can reach as many students as possible, so that Adam said, you're not waiting until college to get that first experience. You're doing it in middle school or in high school so that you're actually making informed decisions and you have the information you need to make a choice and to understand the career pathways available to you.
And again, a little bit of a blasphemous statement in Massachusetts is I think we need to carefully standardize some things and not be afraid of doing that. I think this state sometimes, and please, Lieutenant Governor, my opinion only is
Eric, let it rip. I'm here for it.
Local control is such a sacred thing, and I think that's important. But we have 3 names for everything. We have concurrent credits, we have dual enrollment credits, we have early college credits. I have kids taking dual enrollment who are paying for the credits in high school, and if they waited till they graduated, the credits would be free. again, so those type of things where I think and I think we've had that conversation. And again, I would say, Commissioner Martinez, how many high school students were in San Antonio? You probably had 20,000 just high school students alone. We're working in bundles of 1,000. So it's a challenge if we all name things differently. We all do things differently. Every high school schedule is different. And yes, there need to be those local values, conveyed through that. And so please, I'm not saying regionalize the entire state. That's not what I'm saying. But Maryland, I think, is around the same size as Massachusetts, and there are 24 school districts. Coordinating those conversations, coordinating those type of things. And I'm not advocating eliminating superintendency, so I have to be careful. But I think from a programmatic perspective, from a state perspective, I would just encourage us to, if we create a scalable model, we shouldn't be afraid then to have multiple districts not call it something different or sort of move forward from there.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. It's sort of like flexibility, but thinking about it in a regional context, so we can grow these things up in a reasonable way.
I have 2 sentences.
Please.
Microtransit, please.
Microtransit. I love microtransit. Yeah. This is the
It's-
transportation solve for getting people between communities.
It's-
We often don't think of our transportation
Yeah.
system as going in a regional fashion as much as we do from getting to like one hub to another. Right.
It takes 2 hours to get from Springfield to UMass Amherst on the bus. And we have students who are qualified for jobs there. The CIO of UMass Amherst sits on our board. He's a huge champion, and they can't do it. So that, and also we have employer partners that will take interns, and their company policy does not allow them to take unpaid interns, which is kind of the law anyway, although we do have some unpaid internships. And if they don't have it in their budget, like one of the local private colleges is a huge champion, but they don't always have it in their budget to take an intern, they will. And we don't have the funding to offset that cost. So that is an obstacle for the work experience that Adam is identifying and that we believe is so important.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect segue to the last question. And it's really designed to help our audience members think about how can they participate in work-based learning. We've got educators, employers, lots of leaders in the room. What might be an action step or a concrete action folks can take and bring back to their day to improve work-based learning opportunities for students? I do want to call out this idea that you're going to have an intern built into your budget, or 2 or 3, and you're going to have onboarding for them, and there's going to be a role for them. It's not going to be thought of as like some babysitting exercise. It's like, we're going to have a few things that we're going to remember that we had a first job or a first need. That's one idea. But like, what would you all say, folks in this room, if you could ask them to do one thing and bring it back and really think about taking some steps or action that could help us ensure we have lots of experiences at high school levels, at college levels, maybe even earlier, that could be of interest? Advice for the room. Besides like, Burlington Bedford High School reunion.
I'd say my first advice always is don't listen to me. So
Not at all, Eric.
But I think, again, step out of what you're familiar with. I think we always talk about sort of 9-12, and I appreciate that. Even K-12 we talk about, but 11 to 14 is just as important. I think we talk about pathways like they're extra, and we have a high school program and career pathways. I think we should have career pathways in a high school program sort of underneath it. I think that future orientation for kids, no matter what the orientation is, but having that idea that I'm going somewhere makes them honestly better kids when they're with us. And so we're not, chasing them around all the time. Kids are kids, but we do that work too. But I'm just saying, if they have a future orientation, if we sort of rethink things, which I think the high school diploma is a great opportunity for us to do that. If we're not just papering over kind of what we used to have, and if we think about it a little bit differently, I think the answer's in the room, right? The smartest person in the room is the room, certainly not me. So I think we can solve that together and just kind of move forward. I think there's great partnerships already that exist. Our partnership with Middlesex, President Sisson, is, again, great. We've been doing this we were laughing, I think 15 or 16 years when he was provost. So it can happen. We just need to not have it be the exception, just have it be the rule. And it doesn't matter where in the state, because all this stuff is, I think, scalable. And the folks, Shireen, your relationships with industry are not just within Burlington, and those engineers and STEM people are willing to work with any kid, any place, as long as it's structured. So we feel like we can really move forward.
Thank you. We're going to steal Shireen. That's what I think the plan should be.
Are you licensed?
Waiver. Prue.
My biggest piece is around sustained collaboration. So work-based learning is tough. It really is. It's one of the reasons why we are all here talking about the challenges and the opportunities. It requires sustained collaboration between government, between educators, between industry, between nonprofits, between philanthropic groups. It needs to be funded, as we heard over here. You know, if there's no stipends or if there's no salary attached to it, then that internship position can die before it even begins. And so I think there needs to be a willingness to collaborate. No one organization or no one silo can actually do this in isolation. We all need to be committed and we all need to be able to come together. And as Eric said, we need to be able to think about things creatively and always have the youth and the students at the forefront of what we do, because at the end of the day, they're our future, both from a workforce perspective, but also from an economic development perspective.
Concrete steps, actions. What do we want this room to think about when they leave here?
One piece of advice, as a teacher, invite employers to come talk to your students. If you're an employer, go to schools, go to your schools that you're an alumni from. Just go to the schools and talk to your students. Not necessarily about the company, what you guys do. We want to hear what you do. What do you do? What is your work like? What is, I go to work at 8 in the morning. I get home at 4. I go play golf on the weekends. This is the stuff that like students want to hear. We want to hear like, what is it like to be an engineer? What is it like to work in the STEM field? Specifically that. That's my piece of advice.
Nobody plays golf on the weekends. Kidding, Em.
My advice is about non-traditional candidates, and I think it's twofold. One is that please consider the 40-year-old intern. You know, we have some partners that run traditional internship programs, and it's sometimes really hard for them to think about, to wrap their head around, well, no, I usually take 20-year-olds. How does that person fit? So I think that's number one. And I think part B of the non-traditional candidate is that please partner with organizations that are working to connect people to opportunity and have your HR team take a look at resumes. Our students do not make it through applicant tracking systems usually. They just don't, they won't. And unless a human can see their resume and hear our feedback, we've just spent 18 weeks to 9 months with these students. We can give you real feedback. It would open up access to people who really deserve it and can deliver real results for your organizations. So keep the non-traditional candidates in mind. Thank you.
All right, so we heard don't sleep on the non-traditionals. Go back and talk to your schools. Let's be intentional about making sure we're connecting careers in schools, and get out of your comfort zone if you're a traditional in a traditional public school setting. Please join me in thanking our panelists for the work that they're doing. Appreciate you all. Casey, are we rolling into the next panel? We're rolling into remarks. That's even better. Thank you. All right, we're good. I want to thank everyone for being here this afternoon. It really is, for Massachusetts, a state that has a very strong innovation economy, so critical that we not only form these partnerships, fund these opportunities, but really do everything we can to connect these dots. When you have a strong innovation economy, you've got to have the workforce pipeline to support it. And we're really grateful. We have, you know, some of the best public schools in the country, some of the strongest innovation economy sectors in the country, the best healthcare in the country. That only happens because we make foundational investments in education, in strengthening the collaboration. Why we have these quasi groups, whether it's our tech group, our life sciences group, or because we know when industry partners up with leaders in government and in education, that's when we can make sure we've got the script right for what we're doing. The pace of what's happening, though, is fast. And so for us, some of the most important work we're going to need to do is to deepen those commitments and move faster. The high school graduation standard, we're really excited about the opportunity to ensure we're serving young adults well and also building a strong pipeline for innovation to continue in Massachusetts. And frankly, we still teach high school the way we did whoever the oldest person in this room is when they went to high school in Massachusetts. It looks pretty similar to that. Our kids are demanding something else. The opportunities they have are different than they had then, and we have a responsibility to meet that need. So we are really looking forward to engaging more deeply on a broad-based coalition on how do we not only provide for students, but support the needs of our economy here and how we grow. And it's really important because in Massachusetts, this is still the place the world comes to solve a lot of tough problems. 18 of the top 20 life sciences company, best healthcare institutions. We are a leading defense tech sector, safeguarding our nation. That is happening in Massachusetts. That only happens if we have the people in the pipeline. This is the place where folks come to solve hard problems and ask what's next and peek around corners. It's a great sense of pride, but it's also a great responsibility. And that's why these investments, these collaborations, these opportunities to grow and learn together are so critical. It's one of the reasons we're grateful to be here at UMass. Chancellor Chen, I mean, talk about a rock star, really helping understand what are the needs and what are the opportunities and how do we deepen those connections. Hosting us today at the Nerve Center, so important. We are joined by, when you think about STEM and the connection to both education and career, joined by our newest Secretary, Executive Office of Education, Stephen Drake. We have all of our commissioners here, all the way from K through 12, Commissioner Kershaw, from our K through 12 setting, or DESE, Commissioner Martinez, and then our higher ed setting, Commissioner Ortega. We want to see that connectedness happen all the way up, that vertical integration. Secretary Paley was here earlier. I think he may have had to leave. He is somebody who comes from a private sector background, who understands so much of, how we think about where our economy may be going and how do we get there. And then our STEM Advisory Council members. Thank you to all of you for the commitments you make, not only to come to our regular meetings, but many of you are actively engaged in hosting students and ensuring that we're thinking about not just what these words mean, but putting them into action when it comes to supporting students. I do think we're at a time when, we've got big, beautiful, brilliant minds in Massachusetts and the resources to support that next generation of leaders if we just don't stay in the same lane that we've always been. As Eric, you did a great job of recognizing that we've got to get out of our comfort zones. Massachusetts is known for innovation. I'm not sure we've always been the most innovative when it comes to thinking about what comes next for schedules in high schools and how we think about educating kids. And, I think we've really leaned into this notion that students want to know what they're learning in school has some connection to their career. And it's one of the reasons I'm excited to announce today that we're going to take that commitment even further. Starting today, we have 41 new innovation career pathway programs across 36 high schools and 31 districts. What that means is now there are over 8,500 students enrolled in one or more of the 303 innovation career pathways in 130 Massachusetts high schools. And we want to keep going. That's where it is today. That's not where it will be a year from now or 2 years from now if we're all doing the important work. And these career pathways allow us to go deeper and really give students a full experience. But you just heard about other ways we can really invest in students, whether it's going back and talking to your school, bringing the industry into the classroom, working with educators who want to make sure their students are prepared and are excited about what they're learning. We think these are the kinds of investments that connect Massachusetts students to high demand careers and strengthen the state's innovation economy. And it's definitely how we make sure students are finding their passions at an early age, understanding what those opportunities might be, building on those skills, and certainly supporting what employers are looking for. And it's also important to acknowledge that, the core of many of these programs are our STEM educators that inspire students each and every day. It's the teachers who are really doing the work in the classrooms, introducing students to concepts that may shape their future careers, who are promoting curiosity and creativity and who are truly dedicated to their students. I know we wanted to acknowledge the educators in the room earlier. I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. We're at the end of the year. I always feel like at the end of the year, everything gets really pushed in. Not for us. Like, this is something, the work that you're doing as STEM educators in particular are really the heart and soul of that curiosity movement that we know students are looking for. Which brings us to our second big announcement of the day. Since 2013, Massachusetts has named, along with the Patriots Foundation, more important than us, the Patriots Foundation has named, annually named a teacher that is recognized who is in the STEM field. STEM teachers who are recognized on an annual basis receive $5,000 to be used for STEM education in their schools. And we are certainly grateful for the STEM teachers who go to work every day, finding new ways to put light bulbs above heads and support that next generation. And I'm thrilled today that we are going to be announcing our 2026 STEM Teacher of the Year. And incidentally, I had the occasion to meet this teacher just a week ago at a Project Lead the Way event. And I saw firsthand like the enthusiasm, the rapport she had with her students, the enthusiasm they had based on things that she was helping them with, and also that they were happy to explain to me what they were working on. So coming from Everett High School's engineering and math departments, I'm proud to congratulate Anna Siders as our 2026 STEM Teacher of the Year. Anna? You're not injured anymore. Were you injured last time I saw you? Well, we're going to come forward. I had the occasion to meet Anna at it was a big Project Lead the Way sort of science opportunity. And you were injured then, weren't you? Didn't you have like a boot on? Okay, you're off and in. All right. And her students had designed this really neat wheelchair accessible idea that would be able to go over curbs by itself. And they had brought it all in, worked to showcase it. And the rapport you had with them as they were explaining it, these were 4 young men, as I recall, who three, and all very different. Some were like eager to talk. One was like really holding back. You made sure all of them were engaged and sort of explaining it and how they came across this. So congratulations, and let's make sure we get a picture. I'm pleased to present you with this governor's citation in honor of your recognition as the Massachusetts STEM Teacher of the Year. We commend your ongoing dedication to your students at Everett High School and wish you much success in the years ahead. Thank you so much. Just say thank you.
Thank you so much. This is really surprising, actually. Thank you. Yes, that we appreciate that. Yeah, so this is really thanks to my kids, right? Because they're the ones that like help us do everything we do every day. And the STEM, we started a STEM pathway in our school about 10 years ago, and it was at the start of from the kids because the kids wanted to do more. And so we started engaging and just kept pursuing different activities and things like that. So honestly, like most of the work, when they had an interview, I brought all the work I brought was my students' work. It wasn't even mine, just because I was so proud of everything that they do every day. So thank you so much for this. I really appreciate the recognition, and I'm very honored to have this.
All right, Casey, what are we doing next? So much for being here and the work you do every day. We're very excited about the partnership that we have and so grateful that you're here.
Very much.
I'm going to turn.
Yep. No, it's all right. Thanks so much, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you, everyone. I'm Julie Lammers. I'm the president and CEO of Brightbound. And I just want to first thank the Lieutenant Governor for convening this conversation and really shining a light on the importance of STEM education and career-connected learning. For those of you who don't know Brightbound, we are formerly American Student Assistance. We changed our name about 6 months ago, but we are an education nonprofit based in Boston, focused on education and career readiness issues for young people starting in middle school. We fundamentally believe that young people no later than middle school should have the opportunity to understand themselves and what their career trajectory could be, and then provide opportunities largely through hands-on work-based learning in high school to hone those interests, to develop skills, and make sure we are truly helping young people make deliberate choices about what comes next after high school, set up for success as a result. And so giving them opportunities in the high school space through programs like the Work-Based Learning Alliance and Innovation Pathways pathways are critically important. So at Brightbound, we believe every young person deserves these meaningful opportunities. Massachusetts has long been a national leader in education, innovation, and workforce development. And innovations like innovation career pathways are helping young people ensure students across the Commonwealth connect classroom learning to real-world experiences in high-demand careers. At Brightbound, we're proud to have supported career-connected learning in Massachusetts, including early investments in the Innovation Pathways Initiative. When we first made our first commitment to Innovation Pathways, I think 2019, there were about 40 innovation pathways. So the fact that we're over 300 now is really a testament to the work that Jennifer Guatkin and I see in the back, and Bob LePage, to really ensure that there is a true expansion of this program to all young people that are looking for these types of opportunities. So it's really encouraging to see the continued momentum and investment around these pathways as more schools and communities across the Commonwealth work to connect students to meaningful real-world experiences and high-demand careers. And that work is more important now than ever. As the future of work continues to evolve, driven by emerging technologies like AI, changing industries, and new workforce demands, students will need not only technology knowledge, but also durable skills like adaptability, communication, collaboration, and confidence. That belief is reflected in the work we do every day at Brightbound. Through our free digital tools, philanthropy, advocacy, and policy work, we're helping young people explore careers, better understand their strengths and interests, and connect learning to real-world opportunities in a rapidly changing economy. We want students not only to understand how industries are evolving, but to see themselves in the future of these industries, whether in healthcare, advanced manufacturing, technology, life sciences, or other growing STEM fields across the Commonwealth. We also know that access matters. Too often, high-quality career exploration and work-based learning opportunities depend on geography, all of the things we've talked about before, geography, transportation, and family resources. Expanding access to scalable and flexible models like those created by the Work-Based Learning Alliance right here in Massachusetts is critical to ensure that all young people in Massachusetts have the ability to participate in these experiences. Massachusetts has an opportunity to continue building a national model for how we prepare young people for meaningful careers while strengthening our long-term workforce pipeline. We're honored to be part of this work and excited to see what we can build together. So with that, I'll turn it over to Secretary Zweig. Thank you so much for being here and for continued focus on this work.
Thank you. Thanks so much. All right, good afternoon. Happy to be here. I whipped out my STEM tie today. I had an excuse to wear that today, but very happy to be at my first STEM Summit, and also happy to be back at UMass Lowell. I want to thank Chancellor Chen. We're just 4 weeks ago, I was here as part of the announcement about expanding co-ops across the state, which is really exciting, and we're grateful for UMass Lowell to be a model for the rest of the state. And now I'm thrilled again. I'm happy to be here with the commissioners at the different levels, which really shows our commitment to STEM education. Having just come from a K-12 school district, tried to block out what Superintendent Conti was sharing, but no. But it is that entrepreneur spirit that is incredibly valuable as we're trying to create more of these opportunities for young people. I really do want to thank the STEM Advisory Council. I've learned a lot about the work that you've done, and it's impressive the commitment you've made, the time, the energy, your insight, the willingness to work with our young people, and to share your expertise with us as we try to design an agenda that is in the best interest of our young people as we try to build pathways that connect students to rewarding STEM careers. I also want to congratulate again the STEM Teacher of the Year. She's hiding behind the pole again, but Anna Siders, this is, as the Lieutenant Governor said, this is on a day like today, 90+ degrees in May. It's not easy being a teacher in these moments, and we're grateful for the work that you're doing, and we look forward to learning more from you over the next year as, in your, now that you're famous as the STEM Teacher of the Year, right? And now I'm here to also, is there a drum roll here? Maybe flashing lights? Oh, great. All right. I'm here to announce this year's STEM week. Let's do that again. I need the drum roll again. All right, there we go. October 19th through October 23rd. Let's hear it for that. I've been told, and I heard about the buzz about STEM Week, and as many people in the room will be buzzing around the state and crisscrossing to see to see all the wonderful work that's happening, where we get a chance to shine a light on the outstanding programming in schools all over Massachusetts. So we look forward to that. The theme will continue. STEM starts now, because we want to reinforce the important message that STEM learning is for everyone at every stage of life. From the Commonwealth's youngest learners in early childhood, and I had a chance to see that from, I see a exhibit today from Homeless Horizons and the work they're doing with 3 and 4 year olds, which is, don't let anybody tell you that 3 and 4 year olds can't do STEM and code and have robotics, and then all the way up through our higher education institutions. So I look forward to being part of that week in October, right before Halloween. And as you know, the demand in STEM talent and innovation is not something coming in a few years. The opportunities in Massachusetts are right now. As my sticker says, STEM starts now. It needs to start now. And events like today and STEM Week are critical if we want our youth to be prepared and positioned to compete in what is, as the Lieutenant Governor said, the hub, the innovation capital of the nation. And given the innovation, given the urgency we feel, it's exciting that we're going to be able to expand innovation career pathways. Again, as somebody just leaving public schools, what I loved seeing the different exhibits today, but what was concerning for me about many of them is many of them are happening in after school programs. They're happening in experiences outside of the school day. We need every child to have access to those experiences as part of their school day, because not every child can stay after school. They don't have the access. We heard a lot about the importance of access and transportation, and the fact that we're growing this in our high schools, in our middle schools across the state, I think speaks to the importance of this is not a nice to have. This is essential to have for every child who goes through our public schools and our public institutions. We know that this investment will serve to connect classroom learning with real-world experiences and high-growth STEM industries, and helping students explore their interests, gain hands-on skills, and prepare them for future success. Students are telling us, all you have to do is ask a student what they want. They want more of this in school. We hear it, the commissioner and I, in our recent visits, we hear this from students. They know that our AI, coding, robotics, and emerging technologies are transforming the economy, and they want to be ready. They know better than the adults what they need to be ready, and we've got to make sure we feed and nurture that in our schools right now, not tomorrow, not next year, but as soon as we possibly can. And this is a great example of when public institutions, business leaders, employers, philanthropy come together, we can create opportunities that extend far beyond the classroom for students. We're building a stronger talent pipeline that will power our economy and strengthen our communities for generations to come. So thank you for your investment, your continued partnership as we open doors for students in Massachusetts to lead, innovate, and shape the future of this nation. Thank you all. And now I guess I just roll into the next panel. So if we could have the panelists join me up here. I think that's you, Dr. Brosnan here. Okay. Great. Hi, how are you? All right, so our panel is about applied learning, which, let's see, I think we have one more panelist. Maybe we have, okay, here we go. All right, great, that's all right. We're excited to have you up here. I'll let everybody introduce themselves in a second, but we're gonna talk about applied learning. A lot of what I just mentioned is the kind of learning we wanna see in every school for every child. So we're excited to learn from you. Let's have everybody introduce themselves. Why don't we start with you, Dr. Brosnan?
Jim Brosnan, Superintendent McCann Tech for the last 32 years. Been a vocational educator for 54 years.
Can you just, since I just had a chance to visit past your school recently, where is McCann Tech?
We're at North Adams, Massachusetts. So that's the upper corner of, we're kind of a mile from Vermont and a mile from New York. So we're right in that corner of Massachusetts.
Still part of Massachusetts.
Still part of Massachusetts, but it's a beautiful drive, especially this time of year.
It certainly is. Okay.
Hi, I'm Lauren Cook. I'm the CEO of Ellis Early Learning. We're a nonprofit early education school in Boston. I'm really happy to be here.
Good to see you again. Just had a chance to visit your school as well.
I'm Braden Santiano. I'm a senior at Burlington High School. I'm a part of the Tech Pathway.
Welcome.
Hi, everybody. I am not, in fact, Phil Sisson. I am Katie Gentili. I work for Phil Sisson, and I am the Director of Corporate Education and Training and Workforce at Middlesex Community College.
Great. Well, thank you for all being here. I have very specific questions for each of you. And so we're going to start with you, Lauren. Ellis Early Learning launched STEM Exploration Labs. We were just talking about early childhood access to STEM. And they were introduced so that students could have access to STEM concepts at a very early age. What does meaningful applied STEM learning look like for young learners? And why is it important to start building those experiences early?
Thank you for the question. So just for context setting, early education at Ellis is infants, toddlers, and preschoolers, so 0 to 5. Children are born trying to figure out the world around them. And as soon as, I was hoping you'd come over. As soon as they can talk, they are asking questions and often demanding answers. So we really want to nurture the curiosity and critical thinking that children really develop from the beginning. So at Ellis, as Secretary Zreich mentioned, we have a dedicated STEM learning lab. It looks like a children's playhouse for toddlers and another one for preschoolers. So all of our children as young as 1 up till age 5 will have a weekly STEM class with a dedicated STEM educator that is aligned with the curriculum that they use in their classroom. So it's very much hands-on, play-based, and very much associated with what children are experiencing in the world around them. So it's very natural and it's very fun because children learn through play, young children especially. And so it's very much intentional in that way.
Okay, so we're moving from the little ones to a high school student. We've got a real life high school student here, right, Brandon? So you're part of Burlington High School's Innovation Career Pathways program. You've had the opportunity to participate in hands-on robotics, if I'm correct, and drone programs that expose students like yourself to emerging technologies. Can you share what those experiences have been like for you and how they've shaped your interests or future goals in STEM? We'd love to hear like what your future goals are that might be linked to those experiences.
Okay, so I first got involved in the pathway in sophomore year. I was in programming 1. It was a C++ language class. So it's a part of the regular schedule of high school. So it's counted as like an elective. So the pathway itself consisted a lot of like meetings and career readiness. So we would do a lot of like material with LinkedIn profiles, elevator pitches, and resume building. And we also got college prep materials. So we had a college student actually come and visit us and talk about like what college life is like and how to get into it as quickly as possible and get into that flow.
Can I also ask you, Brandon? So tell me a little bit about like how have those experiences helping you think about like what you might want to do? What year are you? Are you
I'm a senior.
Senior. Okay. So how has that helped shape kind of what you're thinking about for your future?
So a lot of the stuff in the school is very hands-on. We have a robotics program. It's through FIRST. I've seen a lot of teams that here today. So that's just kind of like going right into the deep end where we can kind of just like go ahead and just like start building a robot right away from like freshman year, and we just immediately get involved. The Tech Pathway greatly helps with that. They do a lot of outreach. Like there was one event that I believe Ms. Tyrell posted here. It was like a summer program, if I'm not mistaken, where it was all like an educational course. It's an engineering course here. So it's kind of helped me out understanding like what engineering is.
Mm-hmm. And will you be going to school for engineering?
Yes.
And tell us where you go, what you're doing next year.
I will be going to WPI for mechanical engineering.
Wow, let's give it up. Yeah. Excellent. Zach, great job. So and that's in a traditional high school that Burlington offers those experiences to their students. We're going to switch over to a career technical high school, McCann, which recently invested in has a lot of career connected programs, but recently invested in an HVAC lab that reflects the growing demand for technical STEM skills. And so from your perspective, what makes hands-on learning environments like this so effective, and how can schools better align training with workforce needs?
Great. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. One of it, we had an advantage several years ago that we were awarded a $3.1 million grant, capital skills grant to build an HVAC training lab, which allowed us to add another vocational program. That came at the behest of the business and industry saying, we have no technicians, we have nothing in Berkshire County, we have nothing in Western Mass to train. So that was the impetus for it and the support of the state to get that going. Part of what you have in vocational education is it's centuries old. It is the artisan who taught the apprentice, and we just expanded. And in Massachusetts, you can all be proud. With the envy of the nation, with the platinum form, as we produce and expand the vocational education, it's hands-on learning that uses applied mathematics, applied science, applied English. So it allows that student to have a real task and a real understanding and be able to apply those academics, which in their level of enthusiasm, their level of appreciation, and their level of technical knowledge is enhanced by that piece, because it just makes it interesting. And I think part of that end of vocational education is not only do we teach the skill sets, we then move into the team building, we move into the rest of the social pieces within the vocational community to make sure that we have the quality equipment, and the governor and team and the capital skills have been very, very helpful in that regard well over the last decade, and making sure that we have the latest equipment and the latest technology. Massachusetts is based on, as the Lieutenant Governor said, an aerospace, a medical, and a defense manufacturing. Those are very critical, well-advanced technology sectors. Our students coming out as machinists, as draftsmen, our electricians, our IT specialists all need to have that familiarity. And our young student who's going to WPI as a mechanical engineer is going to find out he wants that machinist to be able to have enhanced skills to take his drawings and designs and make sure the product is done to the end.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. And I'm sure you're seeing quite a demand for the programs that you offer. As we know, there's wait lists all over the state, but I've really appreciated seeing, the commissioner and I have visited many of our vocational schools, how now the resources that they have really match up to industry standards.
Correct.
Students are actually training in spaces that look like they're in industry. And I don't want to ask you how long you've been there. How long have you been? I'm going to ask you.
Well, I can make all those bad jokes, but yeah, I'm old.
Okay,
I
didn't say that. I didn't say you were old, but
I've been at McCann. I've been a superintendent for 32 years.
Wow, let's get that deserves a round of applause too.
Still love to get up every day and go in. It's just a challenge. And it's my colleagues too, Mr. Secretary. I appreciate that. Colleagues in DESE you've worked with. My colleague Jill Davis is here from Greater Lowell. And others, and Eric obviously is here. I think it's just that passion that we have to work with. And when you see young people, and you've seen students now, and you saw in the previous panel, and you saw upstairs, producing, understanding, taking that and turning that now into the workforce piece. And I think part of it is workforce needs have to be tied into those. And we've done a very good job with that. And to your point, we have the equipment and the technology now to be able to replicate what is in the industry floor. And that's the important thing.
Great. So we're going to shift now to higher education, and higher education has been a terrific partner to us as we try to expand we try to make the connection between what is happening in our pathways in K-12. And Middlesex Community College has built strong partnerships with industry for students to continue their work as they move to higher ed in programs like Megatronics. What are you seeing work especially well with higher education and employers related to creating applied STEM learning opportunities that lead directly to careers?
Okay. So in the past 2 years, we've been lucky enough to, so everybody knows, to receive funding through the Mass Life Sciences Center. Yeah, so we were able to build out a mechatronics and robotics lab on our Bedford campus with capital funding and programmatic funding. The current model works between higher ed and the employer. For everybody to hear is because of the strength and partnership with our employer. Our partner employer, Insulet Corporation out of Acton, is a huge part of our program, meaning they've advised on the curriculum. They come out and they interview our students. They give a tour of the manufacturing facility. They give us feedback after every cohort that we run 3 times a year. We change it based on feedback, not just from their industry perspective, but they'll come out and interview and they'll pick out the skills that they need that we maybe didn't teach, and we kind of turn on a dime and readjust the curriculum as we can to suit their needs. So we are successful not only due to the support of the funder, the college, but Insulet itself has made our program what it is today.
Great. Thank you for sharing. I think I want to shift to a question for all panelists. We clearly are hearing the impact that is happening across the continuum here, from our earliest learners to our oldest learners, right? And we know that this is good for young people. We know that this is benefiting young people like Brandon. The question I would have for you is, what do you believe are some opportunities for us to scale this work statewide, particularly for students that may not traditionally have access to them? Obviously in the space that you work, whether it's our tiny learners or our older learners, how do we expand access, especially in communities? We heard a lot about the importance of making sure that our underserved cities and towns and students have access to these same experiences that you had at Burlington High School. Do you want to jump in?
Sure. It's very important to remember that closing opportunity gaps in early education help prevent achievement gaps in K-12. So investing early is critically important. I realize I'm not talking to an early ed audience, which is so rare, except for Secretary Ortega, I know you are, and Commissioner Kershaw and Secretary Zeig. But for anyone else who isn't aware of the value of early education, I just have to put a little plug in. 90% of brain growth happens by age 5. In those early years is when your brain's architecture is formed. It's when you learn how to learn. So you really have to get it right from the beginning. So investing in STEM in the early years is worthwhile, but investing can take so many forms. Ellis has STEM labs because of philanthropy, but the government should, like the rain fall with money.
You asking for more money? Or?
Always. I'm just saying government investment is always welcome. Philanthropic investment from volunteers is wonderful and really adds value. I think we just need to be creative and not forget our youngest learners, because that is when it all starts. And we can't start kindergarten behind, because if children start kindergarten behind, they may never catch up.
Great. Thank you. Somebody else want to take that question about access and expanding the work?
Access, yeah, for me, it's an easy one, and plaudits to the administration currently, the governor, lieutenant governor, secretary, and all involved. Recent investment in over some $70 million, I believe, Commissioner, to expand the seats in vocational education. We understand we have more applications than we have seats available. We have a dire need in the training workforce, and I think expanding opportunities in the Commonwealth is to expand those seats, enlarge the schools, start new schools if we need them in certain regional areas, to promulgate that, to allow everybody to have that access to that workforce training, to allow them to have a career that they can have for the future. So I think any of the investment in expanding that opportunity is excellent.
Are there any creative partnerships that you've seen in the CT world that you think are worth emulating? So is some of the innovation, some innovation that have maybe started between regionally beyond just the seats that you have? Is there anything you would?
Without the specifics, and a number of schools could come up with, these companies and others, they generally, our business contacts and applies. We have advisory committees that meet twice a year. That's statutory. And those business I have a number of businesses who reach out and above. And I think to the point of our earlier panel in the question, and you brought up the question, was the experience of, we have a co-op piece within the statute within Chapter 74 in Massachusetts. It allows our juniors at the very end of their junior year and the seniors to be on a co-op work experience, which is paid, which is in their level of expertise. The number of companies that are opening up to give those and are looking to take on our students and tutor them through, this is what the world of work is going to be. You've learned your technical skills. We now want you to have that experience in applying. And I think that is where the corporate pieces and the models of expanding those cooperative experiences, that seems to be the best.
Great. Did you want to add something to
Yeah,
that?
sure. I probably have 3 different answers, but number one of the partnerships that makes our program scalable and is the Mass Hire system. We use it for everything. We use it because they have the strength in their youth programs. We partner on most of our grants with them because they're reaching the underemployed, the long-term unemployed, the recently laid off, but their youth programs. The high schools and tech schools, reaching out to them for their graduates who did not in fact go on to college. We try to target them to see if we can get them going into our workforce programs as well. And then I'm going to go back to the employer part again, because I feel like I left it off on the other part. Is I'm loud, which why I'm not on the microphone, is because we would love to see our strength and employer partners talk to the other employers to see why it's working so well with us. So if we could scale it across the whole state, that everybody could emulate the employers where it's working and find out why it's working and how, I think everything would be a greater program if they just talk to each other in that
Great.
situation.
Well, we thank you for stepping in at the last minute too.
Yeah, I was thrilled.
That's
I couldn't believe
duly
it.
noted here.
I saw him on the elevator.
And we're gonna have you give us the last word because I've been told but I'm gonna ask you a quick question. What is the one message that you want students to take away about how valuable these innovative pathways are?
I mean, I think they're completely invaluable. Like, I would not be in the same place I am now if it wasn't for the tech pathway. Like, it's truly a different experience being in the pathway, being in robotics, competing in FIRST, doing my school's senior internship and making and competing a drone.
Well, congratulations to you. We wish you the best at WPI, and thank you to our panelists for joining us, stepping in. Am I turning over to you, Casey? First, I want to thank Casey for organizing. Let's give her a big round of applause. And in closing, we just thank you for your partnership, for your presence here today. We're excited about the work ahead. You can see the commitment on the part of the administration, as the Lieutenant Governor shared. And thank you for continuing to push us and to providing our young people with the opportunities they deserve to have. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and we will see you for STEM Week. Congratulations to our Teacher of the Year as well. Take care.
Nice to meet you too. I'm not being shocked.
Yeah.
You get it.